time no see. Today we're in a graveyard full of bunnies and I have a finger infection. Fun fact. And I'm gonna try to record this very quick because I'm going to a psychology conference afterwards in like 30 minutes, so let's hurry up. Today we have Ritz that we're snacking on before and coconut water. Let's do a little sip and then we start. And as we do the sip, check out my nails that I've done. Ignore the fact that this one is not done. I have an infection, but check out this one. Anyway, one for me. Cheers! And one for you. Okay, so the topic of today is growing up in a family that is not creative when you are creative or artistically inclined. And this is gonna be some advice, not coming from personal experience, but having had a friend who had to deal with this and me advising them. I would like to share the type of speech that I gave her. So especially if you're a teenager right now looking to apply for university, if you're having your mini existential crisis as to deciding what career path you're gonna take, I hope this is gonna be helpful. And yeah, let's just get into it. So the story I had was this friend of mine who I used to be in music school with for 8 years. We both decided to go for a normal school for high school. So we both did music 8 years and then we decided it's no longer suitable for us. So we went ahead and she applied for computer science and I applied for social science. So she was doing lots of math and she quit music thinking that, yeah, she would go into architecture. So she thought that the computer science program is gonna be helpful in some way because you do need some math, some calculating stuff, you need a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of engineering planning, you know, you need all this information. So she wanted to go into architecture. But then as time passes by, she signs up for a drawing course. Besides the normal school, she signed up for a private school with me. I did photography, she did drawing. And then I later joined her in drawing class as well, but it was kind of like that. And she was very good at drawing and making caricatures and cartoons and all of that. And she was the stereotype of an animation student. And I don't know if you've seen those jokes going around, but there's a very specific type of person that ends up studying animation or illustration or anything that involves doodling cutesy characters. They have a certain allure to them. They look like they would be Pokemon characters themselves. They're very bright, cheerful, cutesy type of people that end up doing animation. And she enjoyed watching anime and cartoons a lot and Pixar movies, and she was up to date with them all the time. So I just advise her, like, yeah, you obviously have huge potential into this direction. Architecture is a lot more serious and stern and, you know, not as flexible as animation and not as fun as animation, that's for sure. And then I just said that, yeah, I think animation, she was kind of conflicted because her parents wanted her to do computer science for university as well, and then she said that, yeah, I don't know about that, I'm not sure I want to do that. And her parents were very tight with her, so they were pushing this idea that, yeah, you're gonna get a stable job, you're gonna have a stable career, don't go into art stuff because that's not very secure. What kind of life will you have? What kind of income will you get if you go into arts? I feel like it's always this common narrative with parents that are non-creative will always push STEM on their children, and they will always see only STEM or legal stuff as being secure career paths. They could never comprehend or wrap their heads around the fact that you could do music, you can paint, or you can be a designer and have the same income as a lawyer or a doctor if you're really good. Like, let's be serious. If you only need to hit jackpot once in the creative industry to be assured for life. So let's say you paint, you make music all your life, you release a hit, you sell a painting for 1 million one day, then you're set, then your reputation gets higher, and everything that comes afterwards, it just increases your market value, right? So there is very high risk in pursuing a creative career, but there's also a much higher reward and much higher satisfaction that would come from following your artistic dream than just sticking to what your parents think might be suitable for you. I feel like every time somebody else pushes their ideals on them, you need to remind yourself that this life that you're creating is for you to live. So you need to plan and make choices that you would like to see reflected in your life in the future. And the best call for saying that is, for proving my point, is that you should live a life that's your own, not others'. And as harsh as they might sound, your parents might line up everything for you, they will choose everything for you, and one day they will die. One day they will pass away, and you will just be left living a life that is not your own. And that's what midlife crisis is. When you realize you've been on autopilot until you reach your 40s, and then when you finally reach your 40s, you're like, I hit so wrong. Obviously, you can still continue to make big changes all your life, but it becomes more difficult. The older you get, it becomes more difficult. Not because of the choice per se, but because of the other things going on in your life. You're gonna have a family that depends on you. You might have children. You might have old parents that you need to take care of. It's a lot more responsibilities falling on you that will discourage you from trying any new things anymore. You just have to go along with it for the sake of security and convenience. So while you're in your 20s, the best advice is to just go for what you think is best for you. And if it doesn't work, you can give it a couple years. If it doesn't work, you still have time to fix it. It's not that big of a deal when you're in your 20s to go back, to be like, yeah, at least I've tried. And you live with no regrets, knowing that you tried and you did your best and that you believed in yourself. I feel like that's one of the worst regrets that people have, the fact that they didn't give themselves a chance, and the fact that they essentially gave up on themselves, thinking that everybody else is right and they have absolutely no autonomy over how life unfolds for them, which is the wrongest thing ever. Now, yeah, let's take a sip and then we'll go about part 2. So yeah, we laid out the situation and the scenario and why you should stand up for yourself. But obviously, when you're a teenager, and especially if you were raised in a family that is very constricting on you, that's always around your neck, that is always controlling your life choices, and you have zero to no autonomy over what you get to do because they're so pushy with their ideas and it's either their way or no way. I came from a family that was very freeing with me, and my family, I am third generation of a family of musicians, so it was very different dynamic for me and what concerns following a creative career. It was never out of the question that I will ultimately choose a creative career as well, because it's only normal if your family history is like this that you will follow the same path. And there was big expectations on me to be a musician as well, which when I quit music was a bit disappointing, but then it was always in the back of my head that if I ever wanted to go back, there would be a window for me to go back because of my family. So it wasn't that extreme of a decision. I obviously asked Dad for some advice when it comes to wanting to break the cycle from your family. Your family wants you to be a lawyer, your family wants to be a doctor. You should do computer science, you should go do a real job, not just a hobby. And non-creative families cannot wrap their heads around the fact that there's artists that live purely off their art, that STEM and legal is not the only option. There is things beyond that. And if you're really good at what you're doing, you actually have way more opportunities of growth than just a lawyer or a doctor. For example, there's artists that made only one hit in their lifetime. For example, Natasha Berninger with I Got a Pocket Full of Sunshine. Yeah, do you know any other song from her? I don't. Most people probably don't know even who she is because she only has one song, but they always recognize that song whenever they hear it because it's so famous. And guess what? She hit jackpot once. And for the rest of her life, she can just keep making music for herself. Not for any fame, obviously. They're called one-hit wonders, right? So you hit jackpot one time with one song. You sell one good script, really good, you make a huge movie. You can publish a book that goes very popular. Yeah, you only need to succeed once to build a reputation, then just live off well based on that only one thing. Because I got a pocket full of sunshine. Every time you hear it on the radio, she's getting some money in her pocket. Up to this day, it doesn't matter if the song was released in early 2000s. The fact that this song is so well known and popular, she's still taking revenue up to this day and paying her bills and living well just off of that one thing. So yeah, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. And that's what the creative industry is. Yes, there is the starving artist stereotype, but if you're really good and hardworking and you network and you know how to sell your stuff, which is what it actually makes the difference as an artist, to be able to sell your work, sell yourself as a person, have a concept, have a persona, and just have a vision for yourself is what's gonna make you stand out for the rest of people. Yeah, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. And parents that push those types of careers that are STEM related on their children, saying that, oh, this is secure, this is really good career path, you're gonna have stable income and everything. They're overlooking the fact that they're not that stable either. You can still be a starving artist as a training nurse. You can be overworked with no money and just huge debt from the 7-8 years of medical school that you have to do, and then residency and everything else. Yeah, they overlook the fact that it's not easy either way. Even if you pull a traditional path of going to uni, doing computer science, all the job market is oversaturated. There's 1 million people that have done computer science, and out of those 1 million people, a bunch of them are working as baristas, as waitresses. They cannot, no shame to that, but working in your field is still so difficult. And they overestimate the fact that if you do this, you're safe, you're secured. Is not really the case. Everything is oversaturated. So when everything is oversaturated, you might as well just go for what you like and what you are good at. So at least you don't feel shit that you keep pushing towards a direction that is not even your forte. So yeah, in a world that is so oversaturated and getting a job gets increasingly difficult no matter your level of qualification or what path you take, you might as well just trust your passion, trust your instinct, and go for something that you will genuinely enjoy striving for. Something that's not gonna drain you and kill you on the inside to pursue. Something that even though you feel rejected and nobody else believes in you, you still have faith that this is your calling, and you will live with no regrets knowing that you gave yourself a chance. That no matter how shit it got, you had your own back. That's my advice. And yeah, I hope that whatever choice you do make, you reflect on the long-term implications on your overall life satisfaction and prioritize your soul, because if you go off your mind only and what logically makes sense, you're gonna kill what's genuinely keeping you alive. Thank you, and yeah, take care.